This is Reverend Joseph Andrew Jensen. Today's I'm back. Uh, it's Thursday, August the 29th, 2024. I'm back at Heidi's home. Joey got me last night, right before midnight. After he got off work, he drove straight to the airport and picked me up in Charleston, South Carolina, at the airport. He drove me back to Heidi's in the middle of the night. Heidi was asleep. Nobody knew I got back. I was coming from Tel Aviv, New York City first, from New York to Charleston. That was an almost immediate flight after flying from Tel Aviv to New York City. Almost missed it within 10 minutes. 20 minutes. It's amazing I made the flight, going through customs and all. Everything was paid for by the USS Embassy. I still owe for the plane tickets. This will be the basis of a true story, non-fictional story, about me, God within me, with the name I.E., which is not the same as God. God the Father, might as well just say his name is I. God the Father. When he said to Moses, my name is I am, which I am. I. Okay? Just say God. Common name for Father God is God. Allah. Whatever name you want to give him, everybody in this world knows should know there's only but one God. That one God represents life. You're breathing, aren't you? That means everybody in this world has God in them, living within them. Now, the God living with me particularly, his name wants to be called I.E. I give him the initials, meaning I am internal energy. I.E. is the internal energy of myself, Reverend Joseph. That internal energy within you has a personal name as well, and he'll let you know what it is. Possibly. Took years, 50 years to gift of speaking. I'm 72 now. I got the gift of speaking in tongues when I was 50 years old. So 22 years I spoke in tongues. A Pentecostal Christian. And I got the gift of speaking in tongues. And that's when I.E. made it determined for 22 years, saying Shila Kapotei, 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 Shila Kapotei. Meaning, to the best of my interpretation, Kapota means I am. Always says I am. I.E. I am I.E. Kapotai. Kapotai. This is not the same as because the God in me is only 72 years old. God the Father is just like the Father. He's been since the beginning of time. Are they the same? Yes, they're the same. No, they're not the same. They're absolutely not the same. I just thought about that. In fact, God just told me that. They're not the same. Even I.E. knows I, the great I, God, is the Father. To claim you're God, not even I.E. will claim that he's God. He's not the Father. He's only the Father. He's only life within myself. Okay? You have to understand this. They got people. I made a mistake and told people this, and people now are trying to say kapotai, Sheila kapotai. Well, this is. I should never mention this whole thing to other people, because now they're trying to. They're actually saying Sheila, which means to listen. Kapota means I am God. Go run around saying Sheila Kapote means I am God, I am God. This is not proper. Not even God wants to be to make peace with, not make peace. We gotta have made peace with God. We started this mess. We started not doing our will. When did we start doing our will? Whenever. The worst thing about it is we're given God's our will. He given Adam and Eve his will in the garden when he said, "Don't eat of forbidden fruit," was a rule. But he also mentioned the will. Adam, you are to name every plant, every animal, every tree, and I'll send you help to write it down. You know, she'll help create a language. Eve will be your helpmate to help you care for the garden. Yes, that is my will. Will is the same as the commandment. Thy will be done. Okay? When the Ten Commandments were written, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." Well, part of that then we understand. There's no exceptions. Absolutely no exceptions. But there's an exception made in the Torah, in the Quran, and in the Catholic Bible, in the Christian Bible. Why? Do they have all the same story of Adam? God tested Abraham and said, "Kill your son to prove your." Whoa. That'd be going against his own commandment. Thou shalt not kill. God can't go against his own commandment. But according to all three books, he did. And they're all three books except the exact same story. They said it was him being tested. No. It was the opposite. Abraham tested God. God didn't have a mouth to speak openly and say what he think, but Abraham was willing to kill his son so that he could start doing the work, be the sword for Allah. Now we've gone from doing God's will to Abraham's will. Had God had a mouth? He's like, no, don't do this. You don't want to start this mess. Come on, Abraham, you don't want to start this. You start this, you're choosing a people to go against my commandments, to go against everything I believe in. Don't do this. Now it's not my will, it's your will be done. This is what God would have said, but he couldn't say it. No, don't do this. He provided a sheep for Abraham to slaughter instead of kill. Hey, ever since Abraham, we've been starting with Abraham's will, which meant to kill, destroy, to pick a chosen people. A chosen people. What was going to happen to the rest of the people? Where life is? Oh, they're sinners. They're infidels. We are the only ones saved. They're all going to hell. We're going to send them to hell. Not going to hell, they're going to send them to hell. First they're going to put them through hell, and then they're going to send them to hell. All this started with Abraham saying God tested him. No, he tested Abraham. He tested God, and he stole God's will. It was all about Abraham then. Abraham did his will. He did it. So the Jews went about on the killing spree. Little did they have any right at all to kill in the first place. They went to Egypt knowing as free people, but they went there because they were starving. They didn't have good shelter. They didn't have an army to help them. There's no food. They didn't have any land, so to speak of. They didn't have time. Everybody went. There's famine throughout the lands, and it actually okay. I can't. It's hard to tell this story because you got to understand. Throughout the Sudan and Nubia and Upper Egypt, which is actually Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt, which is Southern Egypt, starting with Sudan and along Africa, the land of Kush, hundreds of thousands, well, I'll say tens of thousands of pyramids exist. These were not temples or tombs. These were storage areas for everything from water. They saved water where they could. Some pyramids, they're all square in the middle, and supporting four sides were triangles, supporting it to keep from not falling out and access to get to the top, where they could pour their grain in, oats, wheat, barley, and water. Some of these things would reach 100, 300 meters tall. Imagine a storage container that was 300, well, not 300 meters, but 300 feet would be 100 meters tall. But this is nothing but pure, clean water being held like somebody would collect rainwater in a barrel. These people collected water and they poured it in the top, and it's storage, pure, clean water. They also held the grains, like I said, oats, wheat, barley, rice. These were not tombs, they were storage facilities. This is where in the land of Kush, you see tens of thousands of these pyramids, and they might be rough looking, but they all had a purpose at one time, and they were all for storage. Everybody went to the land of Kush and to Upper Egypt because they're the only ones that had food when it was famine. They're the only ones that had water when there was rain. They went to the thing because for the protection. The ones that designed these pyramids was called the Sumerians. The Sumerians were before the flood. After the flood, they were Shem and the elite high priests, engineers, artists, artisans, whatever you want to call them, artists, engineers, the best of the best that were Shemites. Notice the difference between the word. Shemites is Shemite. All Shemites, no matter from the very beginning with Shem, they were Horites, just like the original Sumerians were. During the time of Enoch, the Sumerians were started by Enoch's family. In order not to have the angels, the wild angels that came from heaven, the fallen angels, and man, to interbreed with their family, they had to become Horites, inbreds. Like the monarchies in England, they were inbreds. Because they were all inbreded, every girl that was ever born was subject to being getting pregnant by their brother. That was the only choice. So the Shemites were, every girl that was there would have a baby as soon as when she barely matured, because she was at the mercy of her own brothers. The Shemites grew to huge amounts. The angels taught them about how to make the pyramids, which is basically a square cubicle, not cubicle all the way, square, but long and tall. Very tall, very deep. This square chamber inside was where a storage would take place. In this case, when the first ziggurat was there, it was to hold the temple, the first temple that Shem ever built. After that, every other temple was built over it. Didn't destroy it. They didn't destroy it and tear down one to build the other. Just build it over it. So they could make their way down to the original away. As it got taller and taller and taller, every pyramid got bigger and bigger and bigger, taller and taller and taller, because from the very first ziggurat, it was but so big, like the base of a pyramid. Then the next one. Each one was basically kind of waterproofed. These bricks that they were made of had resins and tars put between the bricks, made from resins of trees and pitch, sap, from frankincense, bendellium, benladium. These resins look like black pitch. You can see them today when you go up to ziggurats. You can see these same waterproofing. Nothing can get between the cracks. Of course, they don't want any of the grains flooded, just like that was the storage fields. They also don't want the temple flooded that was within the first ziggurat. To keep it dry, that base of that pyramid had to always be waterproofed, pitch between the bricks, like a mortar. Just to keep anything dry, so these high priests could go from one temple to the next temple in each, I guess, I don't know, many generations between. In those days, there was thousands of years. A person could live thousands of years. There's a reason for that and a story to that. We're not going to get into that on this yet. We're just basically going to tell you that there was a lot of pyramids and they were built for storage, and they were all built for storage facilities. And that's why there's so many of them. They were used later for his tombs, after they are empty. And after they were vacated of whatever they had. Now, I got off on a tangent. Again, today is July the 29th, 2024. I just came back. But the U.S. Embassy flew me back. I was in Jerusalem. Jerusalem belongs to Israel. How did I get to Israel? I didn't intend to be in Israel. I intended to be in Palestine, Ramallah. But at customs, I was taken to a hospital to Jerusalem, directly into the hands of Israel. With so many stamps on my passport, having passed through Jordan, which is basically a conspired enemy of Palestine that's not they're enemies of Israel. Egypt already was too. So I was in the hands, delivered by ambulance into the hands of, I was a captured prisoner. I made my way to the embassy from the hospital by a lot of reasons. By a lot of help. One of them was a biker. I said, "Are you Hell's Angel?" "No." He said, "I'm God's angel." And he said, "Well, I don't want no thanks. Don't thank me. Don't do it." He says, "Don't thank me. Don't do anything." He says, "I just know somebody that's had to do a lot of wrong in the past to be in this place that you are right now." You got yourself in so much trouble. You must have done something really, really bad in the past. So that biker paid the cab. Did not only take me to the embassy, but he gave me like 150 shekel to spending money. "Don't thank me," he says. He says, "I'm God's." He says, he's not God's angel, not a Hell's Angel. He's a biker. Right. I was sitting without a way to pay the authorities, and I was basically a criminal within their system. I'm going to turn this off because I do have to go to the bathroom. Okay, we'll continue this.